Alright, these two girls are probably the most expensive ball pythons I've ever produced. One was produced 3 months ago or so, and the other one just hatched a few weeks ago. They're both fireflies. The father was a fire, mother was a pastel. But I'm keeping them both, and they are both females. But other than that, I created a couple bees this year. But this is only my second year. The first year I just produced some pastels and spiders. But there they are. As for my dream snake, my goal, let me set this down here and grab a snake down here for you. Anyway, my goal is to produce a genetic stripe that would be super pastel fire. So it'd be like a super firefly genetic stripe. And you can see that's why he's in here now with this girl. Obviously they're not doing anything. I'm trying to produce some female pastel het genetic stripes to raise up, and hopefully I'll get a couple girls that are pastel het genetic stripe this year. Then the following year, this girl and this girl will be ready to breed, and I'll get a firefly het genetic stripe male out of one of them. So I'll take that firefly het genetic stripe male and breed it to the pastel het genetic stripe, and hopefully I'll get lucky and hit on that. But that's my dream snake right now. There's other things I want to do too, but as of right now, that's like my biggest project that I'm working on. Right now, at this point, all I do own is ball pythons. My son has a little aquatic water turtle. I have interest in getting into other species as well. Right now, I just feel it's best to stick with the ball pythons and grow from there and try not to get too far ahead of myself. I'm hoping in a year or two I can start diving into other species I want to dive into. I'd like to get into the Angolan pythons. I'd like to get a trio of those. I'd also like to get into the Dominican red mountain boas. To me, they're one of the most beautiful boas I've ever seen, and I used to be big into boas when I was younger. I wouldn't mind also owning some Hog Island boas. I'm also soon to be getting into some poison dart frogs. I'm just going to start out with a pair and see how it goes. I already have their terrarium set up, just letting it grow up a little bit with the plants and that before I go and get any. I also really like the hognose, but I don't know if I'll ever get into them because they're similar to ball pythons, but yet so much different. So I'll probably limit myself when it gets that far. But I've also thought about getting into fat tail geckos. But again, as of right now, I'm sticking with the ball pythons. The first thing I'll probably get outside of ball pythons will be the Angolans or the Dominican red mountain boas. With me having 3 small children and the snake room I have, I probably won't ever get into any of the larger snakes. The wife prefers it that way, and I understand. Maybe when the kids are older and moved out, because I really enjoy retics, but just not worth the risk for me with 3 kids running around, and they always have their friends over. It didn't take me long to get to the point where I am now, for the simple fact that I bred cichlids before I got into the ball pythons, and once I got into the ball pythons, I sold off all my cichlids. I had probably 20 plus aquarium tanks set up in my house, with 5 of them being over 125 gallons, so I made quite a bit of money off of selling all that stuff. I was able to dive into the ball pythons a little bit quicker. Last year was the first year that I produced anything, and they're from 2 gravid females that I purchased, and I had some pastels and some spider. But this year was my first full season of breeding that I did myself. I had 9 females go, and then this next season that we're getting started on now, I have around 20 to 25 girls that should be ready to breed. So within the time period of 2 years, I've gotten to where I am now. But again, I was able to dive into it a little bit quicker. It all depends on what kind of money you have and what you're able to spend. What made me want to start breeding them had nothing to do with money or the challenge. What made me want to start to breed them is the price tag of the snake I wanted. I wanted a firefly. At the time I was looking up, they're going for between $2,000 and $2,500. Knew that wasn't going to happen. So I wanted to produce my own. And then after I purchased the 2 girls that were already gravid, and I went through the whole process of incubating eggs and them hatching, it was pretty exciting. I mean, it's like Christmas morning when you open up your incubator and you see a head poking out of an egg, and you don't know what's going to be in those eggs. The excitement, I'd say, is what got me into wanting to breed them more. The excitement, I enjoy it, and also I'd like to have a big collection, but I don't have a job that's going to be able to sustain a big collection and pay for all this when I have 3 kids and a wife I got to take care of. So if I'm able to produce enough to sell to make the money to take care of my snakes and purchase snakes I want to, that's what's in it for me. It's more about the passion than it is the money. Yeah, it'd be great to one day to only have to work part-time so I could be home with my kids more and make enough money off my snakes to stay home more. But it's not about the money. It's about the snakes. And no, I do not own the very first snake, ball python I purchased. I purchased him when I was about 13. I had her, I want to say 5 years, and I moved out of my parents' house into an apartment that didn't allow snakes, so I sold her. But that's pretty much it on that front. It's definitely an experience to breed ball pythons, though, and it's not really a challenge either. You'll hear all the time about doing these tricks. Different tricks work for everyone, and yes, you'll be more successful if you do certain things, but really these snakes do it themselves. I throw the males in there, and the male and female do their thing. I don't control what they do. I bred 12 females last year. 9 of them went. One of them had a clutch that was all bad. So, I mean, this is my first year ever breeding them. Yeah, I've owned snakes for a long time, and I know a lot about them, but I never knew much about the breeding side, and I was able to dive in, and it was pretty simple. I get questions about breeding all the time, and I don't want to make it seem like it's too simple, but it's not very hard when it comes to ball pythons. I'm sure other species it's a lot more difficult.